Attorney General Todd Blanche is a step closer to Senate confirmation and winning the AG job full-time. Fox's Jeff Manasso.
The Senate Judiciary Committee voting along party lines to advance Todd Blanche, President Trump's nominee for Attorney General, to a full Senate vote. Republicans call the former federal prosecutor and current acting AG well qualified for the job.
Democrats disagree. New Jersey is suing Amazon, accusing the company of being a monopoly and not taking care of its delivery drivers.
New Jersey AG Jennifer Davenport posed the question in a produced social media video.
We all get Amazon packages delivered to the door, but have you ever thought about how this multi-trillion-dollar corporation treats its drivers?
Amazon spokesman Steve Kelly responded to Davenport's lawsuit, saying her claims are just wrong.
Fox's Gernal Scott, America's listening to Fox News.
End zone, light them up, touchdown Liberty.
The atmosphere at a game is amazing. It is like family.
I've been a season ticket holder for 14 seasons. The atmosphere is electric.
On the near sideline.
It's an experience you look forward to every week.
I like the pageantry, the band.
The pride of knowing that this is our university.
2026 Flames football season tickets are on sale now. Get yours at lufootball.com.
When a child is struggling with their mental health, the adults around them can make all the difference. Parents, teachers, coaches, anyone who shows up in a child's life. Because in those tough moments, kids are looking to the grown-ups around them for support.
If you're at school having a bad day, you just don't want to do anything.
I just get these thoughts like, do better. All my little emotions in my head is just running crazy. I don't know what to do.
As a teacher or coach, do you ever feel overwhelmed?
He's just in tears in the huddle. I was like, what's wrong? And he's just like, I'm just so frustrated. And I didn't know what to do.
None of my undergraduate studies talked about mental health.
Teachers need tons of help.
That's why the Kids Mental Health Foundation provides free expert-developed tools and resources to help adults support the kids they care about.
Having those resources is the same as the CPR class to me. We're trying to save a life here.
Because when adults feel supported, kids do too. Kids Mental Health starts with us. Find free resources at kidsmentalhealthfoundation.org.
Your wallet has been through enough. Give it the break it deserves by going to InsaneRadioDeals.com today. We have savings to offer you on great local restaurants such as 801 Raw Bar, The Yard on 5th Street, Tacos Los Amigos, and more. Not hungry? No problem. There are many other great deals on memberships, experiences, services, and even radio ads. That's InsaneRadioDeals.com. Deals that are so good, they'll make you go insane.
You're stepping into the fast lane on the VTRN Sports app. 93.3 FM and 1320 AM Lynchburg, and asking your smart speaker, open VTRN Sports Lynchburg. Now, take the fast lane through the topics that matter across the Commonwealth. This is the Fast Lane with Ed Lane and JJ Hendrickson.
'Twas the night before Campmas, and all through the house many players were stirring, coaches scrounging about, with visions of paydays, victories, and more. Everything else prevents them from being able to snore. The goal at the end is to be able to score and look at a board that has more. All right, that was not very good, but I don't mind making a fool out of myself to start the fast lane.
I don't know. I like that. Did you just write that today?
I have done like variations of it on our troshlaw.com fast takes, and I will have some knockoff version. Maybe the version on Rewind 1039 Lynchburg's Classic Hits tomorrow will be the better version, and we can call this one the knockoff. Whatever it is. And I get there's a major irony as we begin the fast lane to that song or dance or rhyme or whatever noise that you want to call that. Washington Commanders, Virginia Cavaliers have already begun camp. Heck, high school football coaches in the Dogwood and Seminole districts are probably snickering along with their fans of different schools because they've already begun practicing. But whatever. The inspiration finally hit. It's kind of like drinking. I'll get religious for 10 seconds. The Bible doesn't say there's anything wrong with drinking. It's when it takes over you, and it's very a blurred line and very easy for that to happen, that you have to be real careful. It's just the reality of the world. So I applaud that. Now, we might do a segment then. So you like doing predictions. We might do a segment on that.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I mean, I'd like to think I'm right more often than not, but I mean, at the end of the day, you never really know. You just got to put out what you got to feel.
The best part is with these predictions, like, I mean, for me, my theory is never bet more than you can afford to lose. Like I'm actually fortunate enough when it comes to football, I've done pretty well. When it comes to every other sport, not so well. Learning those realities of life. So football, you can make an argument for me. There's some strategy involved and there's some financial decisions. Other sports, I've had to curb that because it's vice and we're trying to get rid of that in life. And you have to be able to discern that. I bring all that up here in the fast lane to say, there's a level of optimism this time of year. Before we get into all of our projections, is it worth taking a moment to appreciate that we're not there yet, but we're close to being able to say, whew, we made it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you used a rhyme to the tune of "'Twas the night before Christmas," and every time football season comes around, especially training camps, it kind of has that feel. It's like Christmas time is around the corner. We're about to have entertainment. We're about to have the sport that, I mean, here in this country, we love more than anything. I absolutely cannot wait. The speculation, the excitement. I mean, fantasy football drafts are starting. It's just that time of year, Ed.
Are you a fantasy football guy?
Big fantasy football guy, yeah.
See, to get my usher on, my brain just doesn't work that way. Like, I just, maybe this is like me being an NFL. Are you an NFL draft guy, by the way?
Yeah, I am.
I'm a huge draft nerd. Like, that is ultimate usher. I am a huge draft nerd. I love it. Cannot get enough of it. I am already looking at mock drafts for like 8 months out. And the best part is, as the college football season is unfolding, those positions are already jockeying in my head of like players I covet, not knowing their background, of course, the things you don't know about them, injuries, character concerns, all that. But that, to me, that's the fun of it. My brain, though, does not work with fantasy football. I used to do it, and I realized, kind of like with you with the betting, I was just handing my money over to other people, and I'm not looking to do that and just scratch a vice itch, so I'm just not going to do it. Again, it's a know your limitations of what you're capable of or not. For me, my brain just is not wired with fantasy football.
Yeah, I think it's a great way to keep up with the sport. I mean, you've got to pay attention to even the smallest positional battles. Who gets hurt, who's getting picked up off of waivers. But helps a lot. My father got me playing at a very young age. My first fantasy football team I had when I was 7 years old. Woo! And I've been playing ever since. So it's just part of every year for me. I've got 4 teams this year.
You have 4 teams?
4 teams. I just did my first dynasty league. Just had the draft the other day. So that team stays year to year. And I'm really excited. I love fantasy football.
So that was one of my problems with fantasy football is when you have multiple teams, you're rooting for like competing outcomes like this guy ran for 180 yards, but then you have the other defense and you're like, should I be good? Not? How do I mathematically keep up in a league? That's migraine inducing. Can't go there.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I ideally would only be in a league or 2, but I have so many people who ask me to play, and sometimes I just don't like saying no. I mean, I just love fantasy football. I'll play if they want me to play.
That's you. That's cool. Hey, look, the other thing is, like, this is maybe, again, how I look at it, like the betting thing being more of a, like, financial decision. These are not large amounts of money. The goal is to make a little bit of money, but there is a level of, like, it's just a hobby while trying not to lose money off of it. So I don't do like survivor leagues or, picks leagues because to me, the game theory is not the goal for me. I don't want to have to pick any game or put something into a game or an event where I don't believe I've got a conviction one way or the other. Like there's certain ones where it's like, I could take a flyer on it. That's different. But there's certain times where you're asking me to pick a game when I have no conviction, like our subject of our Fast 5 at 5-ish. We'll get back to this. The NFC South, for example. There's a major steer clear sign that is on that division right now when it comes to projections. So conflicting interest or having to trust in things that I do not trust or teams I do not trust or players I do not trust is a major red flag.
Yeah, that makes total sense. I mean, if you're doing Pigskin Pick'em, you do have to pick every single game. And at the end of the day, a lot of games you just don't really know. But that's a great point in terms of betting, especially if there's a game that you've got a feeling about, that should be the one you pick. It's not good to have to feel forced to pick every single game. Huh?
And look, we have just spent, 7 minutes or so going on a little detour
after Ed's potentially unnecessary detour, let's get back on the road in the fast lane.
Potentially unnecessary because it was kind of on subject in terms of the optimism this time of year where JJ is thinking of fantasy leagues. I'm thinking of, what I think is going to happen and hoping that I don't look like a complete moron when it comes to it. The other thing is, and this may happen again this year, once we kick off Jefferson Forest Cavalier football, oftentimes I actually do not engage in the betting stuff because my focus is so much on the preparation for that. This year and next, we go from week 1 of high school football to week 0 with Virginia playing. So we're off and running. And at that point, I got to shut switches off. Again, priorities, if you will. But, all of this is to say, that's the joy of this time of year. Like, we've waited long. We're not at game time, but we're at legitimately being able to talk about this. Not that we don't anyway in the fast lane, but we're at now, okay, they have pads on in certain places. They're putting themselves out on the field. And for teams that have just begun practice, JMU, or are about to begin practice, Virginia Tech, Liberty, as got to get this one right. Almost said Bob Chesney at JMU. Billy Napier at JMU, he opened up today saying, got that feeling of Christmas.
It's like Christmas, you wake up and you get to start working on building the personality and the identity of the team. And we certainly have work to do, but I do like the body of work so far, and there's more to do, so that these next few weeks will be critical.
Even with the transfer portal, there's still the excitement of building the identity of the team. If anything, there's probably more. My brother makes fun of us, calls us professional speculators. He's probably not wrong. There's probably more speculation than ever before. You get a little media availability, not as much as back in the day where everybody used to be allowed with open practice. I think part of that's maybe not even the fear of the media members who are regulars. You can kind of curb and control it from that. It's the outsiders that might be able to get in. Coaches are inherently paranoid. But you've got that. You've got an idea of what things look like, how teams perform. And that's where you can start getting these breadcrumbs. Like Tony Elliott saying this about Virginia's roster. I still think they have concerns. It's going to be hard for them to get back to the 10 to 11 win mark of the last couple of years. But
physically, you feel good about where the roster is. I think it's probably the deepest roster we've had. Just when you go out there, you see the lines like they're a little bit longer, right? There's more guys that look like each other, so to speak. Now it's just a function of managing the rest of camp the right way to make sure that we have the functional, competitive depth.
Functional competitive depth, but managing camp. That means the personnel is there. Some of that goes back to Justin Sparrows, the GM, and frankly, the resources with which he can work.
Dollar bills, y'all.
And I'd imagine for Virginia Tech, I don't think they're quite there in terms of depth, but I do trust their coach. I actually think, I may well trust Ethan Grugmeyer more at quarterback than Bo Pribula, who has a history of being more of a running quarterback, which sets him up for injuries. I also like the depth of Virginia Tech's quarterbacks a little bit more. Grugmeyer, Baker was a 4-star recruit from North Carolina.
Hard to think about. No matter who your team is, there's a reason to be excited. There's a reason you want to watch football again. And it really is just about that time of year, and I cannot wait.
Here we go, baby. Here we go. We might have the Hall of Fame game Thursday. I know it's an exhibition. Carson Beck against, is it Kenny Pickett, I think he's starting for Carolina in the Hall of Fame game. That as well. But we're waiting on that Nugget announcement for confirmation. But it's that time of year. It's excitement, and just this will get us crushed on the Embrace debate shows. But we wanted to take a moment in the fast lane to just celebrate the fact that football is, I'm going to put almost back. Almost. Not quite there, but almost. We've had college football media days. We've had Dogwood District media days. Tomorrow's Seminole District football media days. Liberty opens their practice. Bryson Gordon of newsadvance.com and I are going to basically be commuting together from Liberty's press conference with Jamie Chadwell over to Heritage for Seminole District football media days. Somehow we're going to try to tie everything up and join you tomorrow from 5 to 6 p.m. BG's going to join us around 5:30. But join us tomorrow during that window in the fast lane. So that is our, I'm going to curse right here, but that is our hope that we're going to be able to pull all of that off. Meanwhile, we're going to also try to do so by driving responsibly. But for people out there that don't drive responsibly, insert your Tony Romo jokes here, Trost Law exists. 777-HURT and TrostLaw.com. They have been serving our Commonwealth for
not one, not two, not three, not four,
but over 4 decades, since 1982. They hope that you never have to call them at 777-HURT. They hope you don't have to visit trostlaw.com. But if you're in an auto accident and need their services, that's where they can help at 777-HURT and trostlaw.com. Now, other topics in the Fast Five at 5-ish.
It's time for Fast Five at 5-ish. 5-ish minutes on 5 relevant topics done around 5 p.m.-ish. Ish, because our counting skills are kinda ish. Let's start with number 5.
What in the world are they thinking up at Boston College? Have you heard this story about Boston College basketball?
I have a little bit about it, yeah.
For those that have not. Boston College, they have fired their men's basketball radio broadcasters, telling both of them, I'm not making this up here. The decision came directly from new head coach Luke Murray. Yes, he's the son of actor Bill Murray. As Luke Murray did not want anyone in his program's orbit who had been associated with Earl Grey.
Broadcasters and hires the broadcasters like they're part of building the team. I don't understand this at all. I mean, does this not feel just strange as a whole? I've never heard of anything like this in my whole life.
If Luke Murray comes into my office with that suggestion, I might get in trouble for playing a clip from a rival A-list actor, or movie at least. But this would come out.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
Luke Murray, thinking that firing the basketball broadcasters at Boston College has something to do with your ability to win basketball games. What the HE double hockey sticks are we thinking if that is our line of thought? This is the example. By the way, Luke Murray is not doing anything for the people out there who believe that coaches are over the top OCD control freaks, because this is example number 1. It has nothing to do with winning. This is on par with, reportedly, Bobby Petrino. Insert your jokes here at Carolina. But Bobby Petrino, when he was coaching at one of his prior stops, having staffers look up at airplanes going over the practice facility to see if they could chart them on Flight Tracker and if they were potentially private planes of spies on your team. Again, this is the example of coaches who may have substance abuse problems or are over-the-top paranoid and need some kind of assistance, because this is absolutely ridiculous. Meanwhile,
number 4.
Speaking of uses for money, Bijan Robinson's going to find a lot of them because he just agreed to a new 3-year, $75 million contract. $51 million of it is guaranteed. $37 million is guaranteed in the next hours or so, if it hasn't already been, where he has put that on paper. He was a hold in with the Falcons, so I'd imagine this contract has officially been signed. Good news for the Atlanta Falcons. Short enough term, paying these guys, I think you could still argue, at $25 million a year, premier running backs are underpaid when you look at the fact that top wide receivers and even second wide receivers are making $30 to $40 million per year.
Yeah, I mean, this is absolutely great from Atlanta. I said the other day that I think Bijan is the best running back in the NFL. I don't think anyone has the same kind of ability that he does to make a man miss, and he's just dynamic. There's days he could be the whole offense on his own. He can catch passes, he can get outside, he can run inside between the tackles. He's unbelievable. This feels like great value. I know 25 mil is like a higher number for a running back, but Bijan has so much talent. I would pay this 100 out of 100.
There are a lot of situations where these 3 to 4 year deals are the type of deals where the player wants to be able to go back to the open market. Even though, you're 3 years into your deal, I would imagine these years are tacked on to the end of the rookie deal. And he and Jahmyr Gibbs, who's the holdout and will get a contract, I'd imagine, soon in Detroit. But they've got this year coming up, the 4th year. They'll have the 5th year option and then the extension years. By the end of that, you'll have accrued 8 seasons. That's where, for a team perspective, I don't know if I want to even go farther than a 3-year extension when you're talking about by the end of the rookie deal with the 5th year option for these first-round picks, plus the 3-year extension. That's 8 years of service. Most of the time, running backs are toward the end of their shelf life at that time. Meanwhile, what should be the beginning of the shelf life, but the other side is
number 3.
Jalen Walker, edge Atlanta Falcons, feared to have suffered a torn ACL in practice today. I mean, can you say that these teams just can't have nice things? Falcons have had a number of injuries in the newsletter and podcast. He writes for Puck. Has mentioned that right now, as J.J. Watt is going to replace Tony Romo on the top team, if Romo does not return, the job could go to either Watt or Greg Olsen. We kind of toyed with that idea as well in the fast lane. Ours was more speculation of not reporting, but Olsen has done a fantastic job. I think either one of them would be worthy of it. Olsen, you kind of hate it where maybe he's just cursed to the number 2 team. Watt's going to get an opportunity to work with Nance. So if you were to tell me at some point where it goes, even with preseason games, I think there's going to be a trial run. And if it looks good, I think there's a settlement in there where it could come. $72 million left on the Romo-CBS deal. Romo is going to probably argue that he can't be fired with cause. CBS may look to the morals and ethics even of this, even though it may be a stretch. But we've kind of mentioned that before. I mean, you know my feeling, JJ. I think Watt and especially Greg Olsen would be an upgrade over Tony Romo.
Yeah, I agree with you there. Maybe if it was year 1 Tony Romo, I would be saying otherwise. But since that first year, he just seemed to have fallen off. I really like both J.J. Watt and Greg Olsen. I think either of them are going to do a great job with Jim Nance. So I'm kind of very happy that this change is happening and we won't have to hear, I don't know, Jim, anymore. Maybe we'll hear something else from either J.J. or Greg.
Meanwhile, it's all about timing, but sometimes you just need to appreciate it in
number 1.
In a perfect world, USC and Notre Dame play in the back half of a college football season with college football playoff implications on the line. Or back in the day, conference championships, USC, and potential national championships, Notre Dame, in their orbit. I still like the fact that they're going to resume their rivalry in 2030 and meet again in week 1 out in Los Angeles this year. I cannot help but wonder as well, when you factor into the Big Ten wanting a 19-team cap on conference expansion, and they have 18 right now, would Notre Dame be the one they would want to be able to add? And with USC and Notre Dame working together again, be a step in that direction? One can speculate certainly on that. But just taking it at face value, because Notre Dame is the one that basically begged the ACC to take them. And if Notre Dame is going to break their tie with the ACC, can we middle finger the geographically quirky fits of Cal and Stanford when no one else seems to want to go there?
Yeah, I mean, Cal and Stanford playing in the Atlantic Coast Conference has always been just silly to me. And if Notre Dame's the one who pushed them and they leave, I don't see any reason why we couldn't get them out as well.
My man, I like that you agree with that. Meanwhile, when we return in the fast lane, we mentioned Christmas, or Campamus, if you will. Is the feeling there at Jefferson Forest as well? We'll get a lot of that tomorrow with some of the District Football Media Days and a recap of it tomorrow in the fast lane with Bryson Gordon of newsadvance.com. But Jeremy Sink, athletic director for the Jefferson Forest Cavaliers, slated to join us next here in the fast lane.
Midday hunger hitting you hard? Swing by Macadoo's for our $8.95 weekday lunch specials. Whether you're craving a classic crunch or something fresh, we've got you covered. Chicken tender basket featuring crispy golden tenders served with fries. The Macadoo's Chef Salad, a healthy, loaded favorite that will hit the spot. Hit back against your lunchtime hunger at Macadoo's with eats that won't break the bank.
It's time to share it and fun. Just to be there the only one. Just to be there at Macadoo's.
We'll see you at the Do's.
Your insurance company tells you to go to a certain shop. Once they give you the inflated estimate, you think, better get Mako. For over 50 years, Mako has been repairing and painting cars. Mako is not in contract with insurance companies. They work for you. They don't give insurance companies discounts and rebates you'd never get. At Mako, you'll get an honest assessment of your repair work by trained, certified professionals. You'll get the choice to pay with insurance or out of pocket, whichever makes sense for you. So if you have an insurance claim, get a second opinion at Mako on Kemper Street in Lynchburg.
A message from Joshua Jackson, actor and Fair Volunteer Ambassador.
Food allergy is a serious, life-threatening disease that impacts over 33 million Americans. When your immune system sees certain food proteins as a threat, every bite matters. But here's the good news. There have been advancements in the treatment of food allergies, and with one voice, we can create better awareness. Because in the FAIR community, the disease doesn't own us. We own our journey. Talk to an allergist to understand your options. Visit foodallergy.org/empower to learn more.
Your bank account just called. It would really appreciate it if you stopped paying full price. There's no better place to do just that than InsaneRadioDeals.com. There, you can find big-time savings on deals like Rise Up Climbing memberships, radio advertisements, great local food and experiences, and even Liberty University football season tickets, some at more than 50% off their list price. That's InsaneRadioDeals.com. Deals that are so good, they'll make you go insane.
Hey gang, this is Bud Foster, former defensive coordinator for the Virginia Tech Hokies. Join me for Foster and Friends, Saturday 9 to 10 a.m. on BTRN Sports 93.3 FM.
Fastlane 24/7 at JJ Hendrickson 27 and Fastlane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and wherever you listen to podcasts. Now, back to the Fastlane.
Is it Christmas, can't miss, or oh my goodness, what are we getting into? That is the question that we pose as we welcome you back into the Fast Lane to Jefferson Forest Cavalier Athletic Director Jeremy Sink, who has the privilege or maybe the unfortunate reality of seeing a lot of me over the next handful of months. Jeremy, thank you for joining us today in the Fast Lane. Glad to see you, and I apologize if this is getting you set up on the wrong foot for having to see way too much of me in the next few months.
Yeah, we love having y'all, man. You bring in a different element to our Friday night experience. What you do for local coverage, we thank you so much. Guys like you and Bob Alvis and Bryson Gordon, Will Stafford, Ariel Schaefer with WSET, and Jermaine Farrell with WFXR, and Dave Walls down at Channel 7, and Eric Johnson at Channel 10. Like, without you guys telling our kids and the program stories and the school stories, this is what makes it special, man.
It adds a level of joy. We called it Campmas, mainly for college, because a lot of high school teams are already in practice. Even some college and the Washington Commanders are already there. What's the vibe like when camps are beginning and all of a sudden student athletes are back around at high school?
Well, you mentioned the pro circuit. I actually took with my in-laws and my wife and my daughter and my son. We went up to New York Giants training camp. My in-laws are big Giants fans, so we went up to the Greenbrier, and that experience was awesome. So I was like, the weather was perfect, 75, nice little breeze. And then come back into this week, you go out on the high school field, and we're out here on the turf, and the humidity's cranked up, and we're waiting for our first couple of days and to go full pads. We're doing the helmets only kind of deal right now, and having to keep track of the humidity factor and the storms. Of course, it hasn't rained in a while. It's been a drought, but here this week we've got pop-ups kind of come around everywhere, so we're not going to curse the rain, but it definitely throws a wrench into practice plans and with Coach Cruz and his staff and the players and our training staff getting going. But the buzz is great, man. You could feel the energy, just the ins and outs around the community, people talking. What's it going to be like this year in the Seminole? What's it going to be like in Region 4D? Lot to be excited about. We're anxious, man.
What is an athletic director's role as camp gets started for? We can get to other sports in a moment, but what's the athletic director's role as camp gets started for football?
Well, honestly, I always say, like, when I'm doing my best job is when you don't notice things, right? So, like, we have a brand new system that has taken the ourschool.org or the seminoledistrict.org, the program, the engine that all the state used, the VHSL and the public school ranks used to do our eligibility, to do our rosters, to do our scheduling, was bought out by Arbiter. So the entire state is going through a transition. And I will say that this transition has been pretty sizable. And even for ADs who've been around, and I'm going into year 5, it's a change for everyone. So that part between, what we're doing here in the office and what they've got going on down there, it's a pretty sizable thing. I was joking with another AD. It's like, man, it's almost like starting over, at least in the setup world of when it comes to eligibility and rosters and all that stuff. But we got to have it done. It's got to be done right.
Jeremy Sink, athletic director, Jefferson Forest Cavaliers, with us here in the Fast Lane, giving us some insight into a lot of the behind-the-scenes work that an athletic director will do to make things and help things run smoothly as possible. We'd be remiss if we didn't ask as well. Optimism. JF football last year, they made it to the state semifinals, lost to an extremely gifted Varina team that was more than worthy of winning the state championship, which they did. What is the level of optimism, and what has it been over the course of these summer months within workouts around JF football?
I'll use the phrase that Coach Cruz and the staff and the players use a lot. It's about us. And, we return a lot of players from last year's team. But as Coach Cruz stated, you're not getting last year's points. You're not getting last year's wins. So it's about a new group of folks who are learning to navigate the waters themselves without, we had a lot of really great senior leadership who have been leaders, vocal leaders here for a couple of years. And we're looking for that next group of kids who step up, and I think that's one of the things that Coach Cruz has talked a lot about is how impressed he's been with the senior leadership already stepping into that role. These guys have been out there. They've been to the place where we're expecting big things, and there's a chip on the shoulder, there's a target on your back, but we've also got to make sure that we show up every day and we do things the right way, both on the field and in the classroom and in the community.
You mentioned the target on the back. A lot of people would imagine that JF, LCA, and Heritage have been the three teams the last couple of years that have all kind of hung out there at the top of the Seminole District. How much does that factor into the team's mind, your minds, and frankly, fans when you're speaking with them about the fact that those are three teams that are earmarked, it seems, every year?
I'm not going to put any bulletin board material out there. As an old coach myself, I'm not going to give the opposition to something to hang up there. But I will say, it takes when you're doing things right is when you get the target on your back. When you're having success. No matter what sport it is, there's that target on your back, and I do think that we relish it. I would put up our Friday night experience in Sabre Stadium with anyone in the area or beyond, just because I truly believe that we have a unique experience between what happens on the field, what happens around Sabre Stadium. We have just an incredible band that directed by David Webb, who's been here longer than anyone. A lot of our crowds show up to see the performance at halftime as well as the football game. And it makes for an awesome atmosphere. We've got food trucks kind of all over the area. A lot of different stuff happening. And I think we're one of the few high schools around that has a skydiver drop in on Military Appreciation Night. So, I would put our experience, put our setup, even though sometimes it can get a little hectic taking people up and down the hill. We have an awesome experience on Friday night here for varsity football.
Last year, there's the home opener and then a bunch of away games until October. This year, it's the reverse schedule.
Flip-flop, yeah.
The opener is on the road at Gretna on Friday, August 28th. And then after that, there are three consecutive home games at Sabre Stadium. There's a bye week in there as well. What is that like for you preparing for the fact that you're going to get an off week early, but it's kind of bang, bang, bang right at the start of September?
Last year, we were thinking like, man, this is kind of nice, kind of ease into the season. But we love having our crowd here, our home community supporting these Cavaliers on the field. And I tell you, we've done things a little bit different. Traditionally, our first home game has been the Military Appreciation game, but with Mount Airy coming up from North Carolina, who I will say that they were amazing hosts, and it was an amazing Friday night atmosphere in North Carolina last year. With Military Appreciation and us playing on 9/11, it just felt like the right thing to do to have Military Appreciation on 9/11, with Mount Airy coming up here for the first time to see what it is that we bring to the table, because they had an awesome atmosphere where the town kind of shut down and everyone showed up for the game. And of course we came on the upper end, but they have a rich football tradition there, but we're not looking ahead to that game because we got Stan River before that in our first home game, when it'll be rec night. So I'm sure it'll be plenty packed. I'll make sure that all the coolers are stocked and the hot dogs are ready and all the good stuff that happens on Friday night here at Sabre.
We're chatting with Jefferson Forest Athletic Director Jeremy Sink. We'll have JF Cavalier football coming up. Our first kickoff is August 28th, but we might do a game in between there or before then just to work some kinks out on our end. So we're not fully publicizing it, but we are teasing the concept of that more from a technical side of things to get things going, since we've got a lot of new things we're looking to unveil this year on our end. But you mentioned the schedule itself. Is it easier for you in a year like this, where it's the reverse schedule, compared to a year where you're trying to put it together?
Well, district schedules are put out years in advance, and honestly, the non-district schedules, like this year, was already finished, months and months ago, because you usually sign a 2-year deal with schools, home and away, and typically you do that within a series, like within the alignment series. every 4 years the VHSL goes through that, and after this year we're going through another one. So, coming up next year there'll be all kinds of changes. I don't want to talk about those just yet because that's going to be something that comes next year. But this year, everything Seminole District wise, Region 4D wise, is all set up the same as it was last year. So, the table is set, and we're ready to go and get to work and just show not only what we're about on the field, but what the experience is like here at Sabre. So.
Jeremy Sink with us here in the Fast Lane. A reminder for those that are out there, high school football regular season action kicks off Friday, August 28th. JF is at Gretna. That's going to be our game on our sister station, 100.9 Lynchburg, 95.3 Bedford, and the Virginia's Talk Station app. Or if you've got the VTRN Sports app, just click in the top left corner on the options and it'll give you other stations, and it's fairly self-explanatory from there. Jeremy, you mentioned a lot of other things that are in the works when it comes to putting all of this together on a schedule. What we have not had a chance to discuss with you, though, today here in the Fast Lane have been the other schedules of the other fall sports. Golf just got underway. I'm partial to cross country because I used to be a runner. Volleyball is happening in the fall. We've heard about the success of JF Sports in the spring. We can look at the winter whenever that time comes. But how poised is JF and how poised is the Seminole District as a district to be strong in fall sports across the board?
Well, just to give you a recap, Ed, last year we had a 72 winning percentage. That's all of our sports across the board, and 12 district championships, 3 regional runner-ups, 3 region champs, and we were state theater champs last year. So between all of our sports and activities, we're where we want to be. We want to keep pushing the needle up. But this fall, you're talking like just today, golf competed in the Metro, which is one of the biggest golf tournaments in Southwest Virginia over at the Botetourt Country Club. They played yesterday at Falling River in the Appomattox Invitational. So they've already knocked 2 matches out in the first 2 days, and they'll play in the John Scott at London Downs on, I think, Thursday. So they're going to play 3 tournaments in the first week and kind of really see what our golf team is made up of. And we've had a lot of success in the last several years, and we've returned some great golfers. Connor Lamanna is probably one of the best in the area, and I know he's already shot really well in the first 2 days. Cross country, we're going to be a little bit younger this year, but I know Coach Gibbs is fired up about both sides, both the boys and the girls. Of course, we've got to compete against Blacksburg and Charlottesville, who are traditionally have really strong programs and are pushing for state championships every year. And then you look at what we got bringing back in volleyball. We will return a pretty good core group, and I know Coach Martin and her staff are out there right now getting things going. I think they're finishing up the last day of tryouts today and tomorrow. So the buzz is awesome, and it's all happening, and we're looking forward to the fall, man.
We are as well. Jeremy Sink with us here in the Fast Lane. It feels like it's already here. For him, it is. For us, it basically is as well. And for you fans, we hope it is as well. Jeremy Sink, Athletic Director, Jefferson Forest Cavaliers, with us in the Fast Lane. Jeremy, great to catch up with you once again. Appreciate it, and we'll be seeing a lot of you pretty soon.
All right, Ed. Appreciate you again. Thanks for having me.
Our pleasure. Jeremy Sink with us here in the Fast Lane. We will pivot from that to a different kind of football, college football. Oliver Hodgkinson of PFN 365. Projections for the ACC, including North Carolina. Are we going to see a coaching change at the end of the season there? Also Tech, UVA, and some of the other local schools when we return here in the Fast Lane.
Hey, small to medium business owners, if you're frustrated with slow IT support, high costs, or paying for services you just don't use, it's time for a change. Hi, I'm Colt with We Fix Stupid Computers. We provide reliable on-site and remote support tailored for businesses just like yours. And we go beyond just fixing problems. We empower your staff with real technology so they can work smarter every day. From repairs to training to full IT support, we save you time, stress, and money. Call We Fix Stupid Computers, 434-525-8590, where smart support meets real savings.
Summer is here, and there's no better time to find a place you'll love to call home. Whether you're looking for a cozy apartment, spacious townhome, or a quiet single-family home, Brownstone Properties has options designed for your lifestyle and budget. Enjoy the season with comfort, convenience, and peace of mind. Don't spend another summer searching. Let Brownstone Properties help you find your perfect home today. Visit brownstoneproperties.com or call 434-385-1025.
Brownstone Properties, where home is at the heart of everything we do.
Hey guys, this is Chad Hassan with ASeaofRed.com. ASeaofRed.com is the #1 trusted independent news source for Flames sports. You can get access to premium content such as the Rumor Mill by becoming an ASeaofRed.com club member for only $84 a year. If you are a diehard Liberty Flames fan and want all the inside scoop, along with coverage of recruiting and all the major sporting events over at LU, visit ASeaofRed.com. Go Flames.
Your wallet has been through enough. Give it the break it deserves by going to InsaneRadioDeals.com today. We have savings to offer you on great local restaurants such as 801 Raw Bar, The Yard on 5th Street, Tacos Los Amigos, and more. Not hungry? No problem. There are many other great deals on memberships, experiences, services, and even radio ads. That's InsaneRadioDeals.com. Deals that are so good, they'll make you go insane.
Come join the chat or give us a piece of your mind. JJ Hendrickson 27 and Fastlane Ed Lane on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.
Expectations are fairly high in Blacksburg and in Charlottesville. I think they're kind of similar in terms of where their teams are structured. For Tech and Virginia, I don't put them in the Miami camp in the ACC. I put them in that tier of teams probably below SMU and Louisville, but in the anything could happen if things click in the right way. There's just more question marks than that. I think even the best day, I think Miami's head and shoulders above everybody else in the ACC. Does our next guest agree or disagree? He covers college football for PFN 365. He's a friend of ours. He's at Hodgkinson Sport on Twitter, at OJ Hodgkinson on Instagram. Oliver Hodgkinson back with us once again in the fast lane. Ollie, glad to be chatting with you. We are appreciative of your time and look forward to these whenever we get a chance to link up. Is it Miami and then everybody else in the ACC?
I don't know about it being Miami and then everyone else. I think Miami is the top team. And Ed, let me just say thank you for having me back on the show. It's great to be back. I enjoy this every time we get together in video this time. Usually just over the airwaves. So it's nice to be on video as well this time around. Yeah, I think Miami is clearly the best team in the ACC. And you look at this team versus the team that made it to the college football playoff national championship game a year ago. And I think this is a team that got better at quarterback. I think Darian Mensah is a better quarterback than Carson Beck. Kind of ever has been, really. And that might be a big claim for a lot of people, but Darian Mensah is going to turn some heads this year. And then you bring back wide receiver Malachi Tony, you bring back running back Mark Fletcher. A lot of questions on the offensive line, obviously, for Miami. I think that's the big thing going into this season is you're going to have a true freshman starting at left tackle. They've had to replace nearly the entire offensive line. And obviously that raises a big question mark. How quickly can that offensive line gel? But when you've got players who can do the things that they can do with the ball in their hands, like Darian Mensah, like Malachi Tony, like Mark Fletcher, that is a significant threat to any team in the country. But I think SMU is kind of right there behind them. You know, they've got arguably one of the best right tackles in the country in PJ Williams. Kevin Jennings is a guy who's really starting to pick up a lot of national buzz as a quarterback who may be one of the best in the country, a truly electric dual threat who can really sling it. So I think it's Miami, then it's SMU. I think you mentioned Louisville there. Like Jeff Brom always has his teams ready to go, ready to play good football, always has a reclamation project at quarterback. And I think we see that again this year. He brings in a guy, Lincoln Kienholz, who is who's never really had a fair shot at a starting opportunity in college football. And now he goes to a guy like Jeff Brom, who we've seen what he can do with quarterbacks. So I think those are the top three teams. And then there's a lot of anything can happen and anything can go from there down to some of the teams who maybe won't fare so well this season.
You mentioned teams that won't fare well. We'll actually ask this of that top three cluster in the ACC, Miami, SMU, then Louisville, in the minds of Oliver Hodgkinson of PFN 365. Out of that group, if one of them is going to have a subpar season relative to their preseason hype, who is it?
I think it's Louisville. I don't see that there is a way that Miami or SMU don't live up to the hype. I think Louisville, the hype isn't quite there. It's kind of we've seen it year in year. Maybe the hype isn't there going into the season, and they're there or thereabouts, and they've got a lot of talent on that team. Like you look at a guy like Clev Lubin on defense, who came from Coastal Carolina a couple of seasons ago. He might be one of the best pass rushers in the country. So there's a lot of talent on that team, but I'm not as convinced in their ability to be there with Miami and SMU. And if there's one of those three that are going to fall off and make way for another team, kind of like what we saw last year with kind of Virginia and Duke sneak up on everyone to play in the ACC championship game, like it'll be Louisville, I think, is the team out of those three that doesn't live up to where we think they could be at the end of the year.
I have pretty big reservations about Boston College financially and Stanford, new head coach, although, if they wanted to be financially involved, they could with all the tech money that is available out there. But Boston College in particular. But the majority of the ACC is kind of in this clustered middle of teams where worst case scenario, best case scenario. Out of that group of a lot of teams, I've identified three where it could really spiral south. I promise our chat with Oliver Hodgkins is not going to all be negative. Clemson, if things just are done with Dabo. Florida State, a lot of transfers. If it goes south early, they look like a quit watch team. And then North Carolina, because of the Bill Belichick chaos. Where do you look at that grouping and go, Ed, you might be onto something, or Ed, get off of something?
I think you're onto something with all three. And for Florida State, it starts with Mike Norvell, a guy who I think if he didn't have such a big buyout hanging over his head, could possibly have gone at the end of last season. So much pressure on Mike Norvell going into this season for FSU, and a lot of question marks still to be answered in terms of the talent that's on that roster. Like, there's a lot of great players. You look at Deuce Robinson, the wide receiver. You look at Mandrell Desire, the defensive lineman. Lots of talent on this FSU roster. Like, if Mike Norvell can't get that team out of the starting gate pretty quickly, like, the pressure just mounts. The pressure's already there, and it just mounts week on week on week where you don't see a performance from them. And then Bill Belichick, man, like, that TCU game in Dublin, I'm going to be there in Aviva Stadium in week 0. And like North Carolina, teams that have historically kind of not done well in Dublin have then gone on to have pretty average to terrible seasons. Like FSU 2 years ago, like lost to Georgia Tech on a field goal, and then we saw how that campaign completely unraveled for FSU. So if they can't get a result or even look like a team that could get a result in that first game against TCU, again, it's with all the off-field stuff as well with that team, like question marks at the quarterback position as well. When you want to talk about the on-field stuff, like there's so much around North Carolina that is like it's there just to spiral even further out of control. Like the circus is gonna, like the monkeys are all escaping the circus. I don't know. There's a good analogy in there. There's a good analogy in there somewhere, but like this off-field circus, if it then carries over onto the field and the performances aren't there like they weren't last season, like that TCU team's really strong as well. Like they could be onto a hiding in Dublin, and Bill Belichick could be sat in Temple Bar drinking Guinness for the rest of his life.
Yeah, he might not even fly back over. He might be hanging out with you afterwards, Ollie.
Exactly.
Probably not what he wants, but you might gain a lot out of it. I don't know what he would want for.
I'm sure we can pass some mutually beneficial information and expertise across to each other.
No doubt about it. Oliver Hodgkinson of PFN 365 is with us here in the fast lane. Ollie, enough of the negativity. Optimism. It's there for Virginia Tech with James Franklin. Are you of the belief it's going to click really early for James Franklin, or this may take a little bit of time in year one? I don't think it'll be a disaster, but it may take a little bit longer than Hokie fans anticipate.
Yeah, I think it's a tempering expectations. I think you hit the nail on the head there, Ed. It's how quickly can this come together, and the expectation is for James Franklin that it comes together really quickly. They've done a lot in the transfer portal, and obviously you need that's going to take time to gel, and the cohesiveness. And again, like the quarterback situation, I harp on about the quarterback situation because it does matter. Like for every team in the country, and for Ethan Grunkemeyer, like there's that familiarity with James Franklin. but there's also like he hasn't got the most experience, and from what we have seen of him on the field, he's not a quarterback so far that's really blown the doors off people's imagination. And then you look at the schedule for Virginia Tech. Like, I think this is the biggest thing when we talk about expectations for Virginia Tech, because there's talent. Like Marcellus Hawkins, the running back, is incredible. Kamari Copeland on the defensive line is going to be an all ACC kind of guy, but you've got to go to Clemson. You've got to go to SMU. You've got to go to Miami. You face Georgia Tech. Like, Virginia Tech's schedule is really grueling for a team that is really trying to build itself early on in this James Franklin tenure. So I think there's signs of positivity. Like, they've talked a good game, right? James Franklin talks a good game. And then he doesn't perform in the biggest games. And that's been the biggest hang up over his Penn State career. Virginia Tech have got a lot of really big games this season, and I think that's where it'll come time to temper expectation for the Hokies this season.
Meanwhile, for Virginia, are you of the belief that they're destined for some kind of regression given how last year went, but it's only going to be so much? Or are you of the belief that they can exceed expectations for this year and match what they did last year?
Yeah, it's difficult for Virginia, right? Because the only way up is winning the ACC championship, right? And as we've discussed already, there is a lot of roadblocks to them winning the ACC in 2026. There's Miami, there's SMU. Thankfully for Virginia, they don't play Miami. They avoid Clemson. They avoid Georgia Tech. They avoid Louisville. So, like, the flip side from the Hokies, like, the schedule is positive for Virginia. The NC State game, which was a great opportunity for the players to go to Brazil, experience different, completely different cultures and everything. But from a football perspective, you take what was a grueling trip to Brazil and you turn that into a home game against NC State in week 0. And again, that's another positive on the schedule front. Return great talent, really important talent, like linebacker Cam Robinson, lots of pieces on the offensive line. But again, like, not to sound like a broken record, but the quarterback situation, like, how confident are you in Beau Pribula from Penn State, a guy who, he looks the part as a dual threat quarterback at times, but he's also quick with an interception and not particularly like a lot of experience for a guy when you go from having Chandler Morris last year, who was one of the more experienced quarterbacks in the country, in the whole of college football, like, to then go to a guy who has played some games at the top level, has looked good sometimes, but has also been inconsistent and has thrown interceptions and is coming off a pretty significant injury as well. Like, that's a significant question mark. But I think if you ask me to say which of those two teams, Virginia and Virginia Tech, would be closest to their preseason win projection, I would say probably Virginia.
Last one for Oliver Hodgkinson. We'll kind of do a 2-for-1 here to wrap up our chat with Oliver Hodgkinson of PFN 365. Liberty in Conference USA, JMU and ODU in the Sun Belt. How do you project what they're going to look like in their week 1 opener, Liberty JMU, and the season, all 3 of those Virginia area schools, just given the amount of roster transition and turnover at that level?
Yeah, JMU's the interesting one, right? Because I've talked about this on a couple of podcasts where I'm like, JMU to me should have been a program that went and got a head coach that was up and coming, like a real top tier FCS guy or a coordinator who was on the rise. To get Billy Napier, like, for me, was a weird one. But this is a guy who's had so much success at the Sun Belt level, right, when he was at Louisiana. So there's a huge transfer portal class, a complete roster tear down and rebuild. I think if you look at the 3 teams versus preseason expectation, I think it's Liberty. It will be the team that the one who can be the closest to what a lot of people think they can be. Coming off a disappointing year, Jamie Chadwell obviously had the health scare that he had last year. He even talked about it during Conference USA Media Day that, like, that was a little bit, although they tried for it not to be, it was a little bit of something that kind of got in the way. And that sounds like a terrible way to phrase it, but I think they were pretty much his words, where like it was something that had an impact on their 2025 season. I fully expect Jamie Chadwell to be a guy who bounces back from that, leads this Liberty team to being a Conference USA front runner comfortably. I think there's more teams in the Sun Belt who could challenge JMU than there are teams in Conference USA that can challenge Liberty. And I'm really excited about Liberty's quarterback situation. Like, they've got 3 guys who, when they're on their game, they can be awesome. Like, you look at Ethan Vasco, he was a liability at times with interceptions, but he also battled injury. The game against Delaware, he was awesome. Deshaun Purdy comes to Liberty from Wake Forest, but when he was at Charlotte, like, this was a kid who in his first year at Charlotte was extraordinary to watch. Like, again, needs to rein in the interceptions, but like a real legit arm. He can sling it. He's a true drill threat. And I think he'll find his level. It sounds like he's expected to win the quarterback competition. And I think that's very exciting for Liberty, who bring in Kanye Udo, the ex-Army and Arizona State running back, to replace Evan Dickens. So I think when you look across the 3 rosters, who's what the talent that's replaced for talent that's departed, the coaching staff, everything factored in, the schedule. Like, I think Liberty by the end of the season will be the team that's closest to preseason expectations. But that week 1 game, Liberty JMU, and then Liberty against Coastal Carolina, the Jamie Chadwell Bowl. I think is going to be 2 games that really define what the Flames can be this year.
Great way to end it with Oliver Hodgkinson of PFN 365. OJ Hodgkinson, Twitter, OJ Hodgkinson, Instagram, Hodgkinson Sport on Twitter. Ollie, always glad when we can catch up in the fast lane. We appreciate you making some time for us today. Thank you very much.
Cheers. Thanks, Dad.
Our pleasure to chat with Oliver Hodgkinson and wrap it up on W227 BG Timberlake, WVGM Amherst, WMNA, Gretna, Danville, Southside, the VTRN Sports app, and Fast Lane, Ed Lane. However you consume podcasts and on social media. Now, on to Freddie and Harry, joined in progress.